This video is going to focus on inferencing and also context clues. So let's get started. In 1942, as the Nazi persecution of Jewish people escalated, Anne Frank and her family, went into hiding in Amsterdam to avoid capture. Now, just looking at this sentence, there's a lot here. But there's one word that you're going to probably be struggling with, and the word is persecution. So the way you focus on this word is by reading the entire sentence again, from here to here. Don't read the sentence and not know what it means, or don't read the sentence and not know what it means and move on. In 1942, as a Nazi persecution, so we don't know what this word means. So let's see if we can figure it out based on what the rest of the text says. In 1942, as a Nazi persecution of Jewish people escalated, it looks like it's escalating, means it's going higher. Anne Frank and her family went into hiding in Amsterdam to avoid capture. So think about why they will go into hiding to avoid being captured, right? So from this, you'll know that this is something that is bad, right? If you're being captured, if you're being taken into custody, put into prison, that's what persecution means. Persecution means being harassed, being arrested without reason, having your rights taken away. Okay, so as a Nazi persecution or these bad things happening to Jewish people escalated, got worse, Anne Frank and her family went into hiding in Amsterdam to avoid capture. So it's about 70 years ago. This is the Holocaust. They lived in a concealed area. They lived in a concealed area known as the secret annex. So in here, you will know that concealed means secret or hidden, which was part of her father's business building. So it looks like they went into hiding to avoid being persecuted. Persecuted is right here again. Persecuted, being harassed, being put in jail, stuff like that. Which was part of her father's business building, along with another family, the Van Pels, and a dentist named Fritz. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Pevzer. They occupied this confined space for over 2 years. So here you might not know what confined means, right? But you can figure it out because it says along with another family, so one family. So that's two of them, two families already. And then a dentist. So in this case, confined means it's like a tight space. A tight space for all those people for over 2 years. During this time, they adhered to strict rules of silence during the day to avoid detection from workers in the building. So again, you might not know what this word means again, but what do you think it means, right? Based on, it says, they adhere to strict rules of silence during the day to avoid detection from workers in the building. So adhere means they practiced. They practiced the rule of not talking during the day because they might be heard by someone working in the building, because people were still working in this building. Anne spent much of her time reading and writing in her diary, which she named Kitty. Her diary became her closest confidants. So think about what this means, right? Her diary became her closest confidant, helping her to express her innermost thoughts and fears while living in constant fear of discovery. So if you're doing this to someone, what does that make them? That makes them your confidant, someone that you can trust, someone that you can talk to. But in this case, it's a journal. The journal doesn't talk back. It's just Anne writing her emotions down in the journal. So again, there's several words here that when you take the assessment, you're going to have to be able to determine the meaning of these words. So persecution, we know it's bad. Adhere, they practice. They practice the rule of not talking. Confidant is someone you trust. Life in the secret annex was harsh and filled with uncertainty. So here you might wonder what harsh means, right? So you just put yourself in her shoes. What do you think life is like in this space? Harsh. It means it's difficult. Uncertainty means they don't know what's gonna happen. The family is dependent on a small circle of trusted friends to bring them food and supplies. That's the uncertainty, right? What if these people stop bringing food. So here we have the word uncertainty. They depend on these people to help them. But food was often scarce, and the occupants had to ration what little they received. So again, another big word, ration. What do you think that means? But food was often scarce. There wasn't a lot of food. As a result, they have to ration what little they received. So what do you think ration means? In this case, ration means they have to preserve. They have to be careful with their food because they might run out. The tension of living in such a close quarters sometimes cause disagreements and friction. So these people are living together. They're stressed out. They're afraid they're gonna get caught. They're being hunted because they're Jewish people, and the Germans are looking for Jewish people. So, they're going to be stressed out. Anne's diary reflects both her frustrations with the people around her and her struggles to stay hopeful. So she's frustrated with the people around her because she's a teenager, and even if she wasn't, it's really hard for her. But also she tries to remain hopeful. Despite her circumstances, despite these things that she's living through, she clung to the belief that people were truly good at heart. A hopeful sentiment or belief in the face of such overwhelming darkness, right? Darkness is everywhere around her. She knows that if her and her family get caught, they're going to be sent to a camp, most likely die there. In 1944, after 2 years of hiding, the families in the annex were betrayed, arrested, and deported to a concentration camp. So after 2 years of hiding, they were betrayed by someone. Someone told on them, and the police came and got them. Anne's diary, remember, this is the diary that she wrote all her ideas in. It became her confidant. Anne's diary was left behind, later recovered by her father, Otto Frank, who survived the Holocaust. So Otto Frank was her dad. They all got sent to the camps, and they all died, with the exception of Otto, who came back to the annex, to the location where they were hiding, and there he found the diary, who survived the Holocaust and chose to publish it. Anne's reflections on hope, resilience, and the power of humanity, the human spirit, have since touched millions. Her story remains a haunting reminder of the atrocities of the Holocaust. So here, think about what this word means, of the Holocaust, and the remarkable strength she displayed amid an unimaginable hardship. These are some of these questions. So on the Edpuzzle, you're going to be doing these. Again, some of you are going to be working with me, and some of you will be working on your own. I will have these questions on the Edpuzzle because I don't want you guys to just depend on the paper. In the first paragraph, what does the phrase concealed area most likely mean? So let's go back to the first paragraph. So here it says, I'm going to change the color of this. They lived in a concealed area known as a secret annex. Concealed area. So the question is asking, in the first paragraph, what does the phrase concealed area most likely mean? We know that it is a hidden area because they need to hide because they're being persecuted, right? You're being persecuted, you're going to hide. So which of these makes the most sense? An openly visible part of the building? No, it can't be because it needs to be hidden. A well-hidden part of the building, that's a better option. An area that was easily accessible to everyone? No, that's not a good idea because it's going to be accessible to the people that are chasing them. A space that was kept secret to avoid detection? Oh, that's a good one. A common gathering space? So it's not E because common means many people know about it. So let's cross this out. An area that was, so not this one. So it's either going to be B or D. So here, you probably noticed that I didn't read the question completely, and that's something that I do, and it's a mistake that I make, right? But you guys also make that mistake. It says select two options. So the answers are B and D. I was like, wait, they both look like right answers, but then I went back to the question. Select two options. On your assessment that you're taking, you guys are all going to take that assessment, by the way. For the retake, I'm going to, some of you need a retake for this skill. I'm going to replace your grade with this grade that you're going to take for the retake. And then I'm also going to use this assessment for the beginning of T2. Okay, so let's keep going to the next question. So this one also has select two options. It says, what does the word ration imply about the availability of food for Anne and the others in the annex? So if you remember, I highlighted the word ration. It says, food was often scarce, and the occupants had to ration what little they received. Even if you didn't know what the word scarce was, knowing that these people are hiding, that these people need other people to bring food to them, you can infer that they probably don't have a lot of food. So you can infer what this word means. They don't have a lot of food because they need other people to bring them food. So in this case, the occupants had to ration what little they received. So think about, what does the word ration mean in this case? What does ration imply about the availability of food for Anne and the others? They had to stretch limited supplies over time. Okay. That means that, if you have a little bit of salt, don't use as much. You have to stretch it. If you get a little bit of beef, don't use all of it at one sitting or one meal. Stretch it only a little bit at a time. That's what that means. They ate abundantly despite going to hiding. No, abundantly means they ate a lot. They had a lot of food. It didn't matter. So that's definitely wrong. They face strict limitations on their food portions. That can work too, because it says that they have limitations, strict limitations on what food they can eat. They had food readily available at all times. No, they didn't. They have to ration it. They receive daily deliveries of fresh food. It doesn't say that. The only options are going to be A and C. Question 3. Which sentence best illustrates Anne's perspective on human nature despite her circumstances? So what does she think of people despite the fact that they're trying to kill her and they have her in hiding? Select two options. So this one says, which sentence illustrates Anne's perspective or Anne's views on human nature? Anne spent much of her time reading and writing in her diary, which she named Kitty. This evidence doesn't actually show anything about her perspective on humanity. Despite her circumstances, she clung to the belief that people were truly good at heart, a hopeful sentiment that in the face of such overwhelming darkness. This one does talk about what she thinks about people, so that's going to be one of them. The family is dependent on a small circle of trusted friends to bring them food and supplies, but food was often scarce. This doesn't talk about her views of people. It talks about people doing good things for her, but it doesn't talk about her perspective. So let's not do that one. Her story remains haunting reminder of the atrocities of the Holocaust and the remarkable strength she displayed amid unimaginable hardship. So this one doesn't talk about her views either. The tension in living in such close quarters sometimes causes disagreement and friction. And the last one, E, the tension of living in such close quarters sometimes causes agreement and friction. So this one, this one will be the second best one. It's not the strongest option, but it's definitely gonna be B and E. This one is simply correct because she gets to see people in when they're stressed out, when she's able to judge them and she has friction and she has issues with them. Okay? Let's go on to number 4. What does the word atrocities most likely mean in the context of this passage? So atrocities. Let's go back and find the word atrocity. So here in the last paragraph, it says, Anne's reflection on hope, resilience, and the power of human spirit have since touched millions. Her story remains a haunting reminder. Haunting. Think about what haunting. When something is haunting, what does that mean? It's scary. It's spooky, right? It's a haunting reminder of the atrocities, of the crimes of the Holocaust. The Holocaust was a time when about 6 million Jewish people died in Europe. These were atrocities, these were crimes. Haunting reminder. So just by looking at the word haunting, you realize that if something is haunting and it reminds you of something, that thing is going to be a negative feeling. If something is haunting, it's going to be a negative feeling. So let's look what the options are. What does the word atrocities most likely mean in the context of the passage? Events of extreme cruelty and inhumanity. Again, select two options. Cruelty and inhumanity. Good option. Common hardships people face during the war. Okay, let's keep going. Situations that were challenging but manageable. Acts that caused widespread suffering and fear. And difficulties encountered by many families. So all of these seem like good options. But you have to think about what is happening to these people, right? What is happening to these people that are being killed? An atrocity is not just a common problem, right? It's not just being late to work. It's not just not getting paid enough. It's not just, stubbing your toe. An atrocity is a crime against humanity when a large group of people is killed for their religion, for their gender, whatever, right? It's the worst thing that can happen to humans. So let's look at which of these makes sense. So this one is definitely an event of extreme cruelty and unimaginable cruelty and inhumanity. It's not a common hardship. Common hardship is like, well, today I didn't eat. I'm hungry. It's not it's not. It's a destruction of a people. Situations that were challenging but manageable? No, not not manageable. Acts that cause widespread suffering and fear, or difficulties encountered by many families. Difficulties in this case means maybe you weren't able to pay the rents, or maybe your light got shut out because you didn't pay the bill, right? That's not an atrocity, it's this one. What can the reader infer about Anne's emotional experience in the annex? What can you infer about how she felt emotionally? She often felt disconnected from the outside world. She found comfort and escape in writing. This one has three options. These are the hardest ones. So again, when you pick one of these, go back to the text. Go back to the text. Let's continue. She was always optimistic and carefree. Does it say that? I don't think she says that she was optimistic. She had issues with people. Sometimes she didn't get along. She struggled with feelings of fear and isolation. She viewed everyone in the annex positively at all times. She didn't. She relied on her diary to cope with her circumstances. So let's go back to them, okay? So she often felt disconnected from the outside world. Yes, you say that. She needed that attention. She felt comfort and escape in writing. She even called her journal Kitty. She struggled with fears of isolation. It never really talked about that. And the last one is she relied on her diary to cope with her circumstances, right? It became her confidant. And that's how I'm able to support that one. In the second paragraph, what does the phrase "in the face of such overwhelming darkness" most likely mean? So let's look at the second paragraph. It's the last sentence. Despite her circumstances, she clung to the belief that people were truly good at heart, a hopeful sentiment in the face of such overwhelming darkness. So think about what this means. Think about what's happening to her at this time. She's hiding, she's being hunted. People want to put her in prison or want to kill her. In the face of such overwhelming darkness. In this case, it does not mean she's in a dark room physically. It just simply means that the world is a dark place. That the world is a dangerous place. So it's not this one. Despite being surrounded by constant danger and oppression, yes, constant danger and oppression. Even though there were no lights, and it has nothing to do with lights. Even when the hardships and injustice she endured, yes. And although she had no connection to the outside world, no. So in this case, in the face of overwhelming darkness simply means life is really hard because there's a lot of issues outside. Select 3 sentences that best support the idea that Anne found writing to be a source of relief during her time in hiding. I think I made a mistake on this one. I thought it was F, but this one's actually D. I'm not gonna ask this one at all. Okay, I'm gonna eliminate that one. Select 3 sentences to support the idea that Anne found writing to be a source of relief during her lifetime in her time in hiding. Anne spent much of her time reading and writing. Yeah, right. You when you do something and you like it, it brings you relief. Her diary became her closest confidants, helping her to express innermost thoughts and fears. Also correct, but let's keep reading. Life in the secret annex was harsh and filled with uncertainty. No, this has nothing to do with her diary. Remember, bring it back to the diary. The family is dependent on a small circle of trusted friends. Again, nothing to do with the diary and writing. Anne's reflection on hope, resilience, and power of human spirit have touched millions. Not necessarily. This does talk about the diary, but it talks about what is the effect of the diary on other people, not her source of relief. Her diary reflects both her frustration with the people around her and her struggles to stay hopeful. So we've eliminated, you see, we've eliminated all of them except this one and this one. Her diary reflects both her frustration with the people around her and her struggles to stay hopeful. Right? If you look at only the first part, the frustration part, it wouldn't make sense, but this is the part, right? It makes her feel hopeful. And then her diary becomes her confidant. This one has only one option. What inference can be made about Anne's feelings towards her situation in hiding? What inference can be made about Anne's feelings towards her situation in the annex, in hiding? She feels constantly hopeful. No, she doesn't. Constantly means she's never sad. She experiences a mix of fears and frustrations, but tries to stay optimistic. Okay, it's a better option. She believes her family's hiding is unnecessary and a mistake. No, it doesn't say that. She knows she's in danger. She finds it easier than expected to adjust in life in hiding. No, she doesn't. The answer is she experiences a mix of fear and frustration. Number 9. Why might Anne have chosen to keep a diary during her time in hiding? Why did she keep a journal while she was hiding? To have a record of historical events to share with others later? She didn't do it because she wanted to publish this book. That's what that says, A. To entertain herself while her family was otherwise occupied? I mean, I guess you can make that inference, but I don't think that's a logical inference. To process her complex emotions and feel less isolated, or to communicate secretly with others outside the annex? Absolutely not. That's the worst answer. She didn't do it to talk to people outside. She did it to process what she was going through. Read the sentence from Anne's diary entry. She said, "At night, when everything is silence, I sometimes think about life outside these walls. I imagine walking through the city streets, the sounds of laughter and footsteps filling the air. But here I must be quiet, always listening, always waiting." And the word is, what is the phrase always listening, always waiting? Most likely revealed about Anne's experience in hiding. She is vigilant. Vigilant means constantly looking. And also anxious, fearing that any noise could lead to danger. She finds the quiet peaceful and looks forward to spending more time alone. I don't think that's what she does it. She doesn't. She knows she needs to be quiet because she can get caught. She has accepted her situation and no longer feels worried about her being caught. Absolutely not. She knows she needs to be quiet. She feels curious about the world outside but not afraid of being discovered. She is very afraid. The answer is A. She is vigilant and anxious. What does the term persecution most likely mean in the context of this passage? So remember, persecution is up here. It's going to be a negative thing, right? Nazi persecution of Jewish people. As a result, they went into hiding. A peaceful negotiation? No. A systematic oppression or mistreatment? Yes. They're being oppressed, they're being mistreated. It's not a friendly interaction and it's not an act of kindness. How does the phrase harsh and filled with uncertainty contribute to the reader's understanding of life in the secret annex? So this harsh and filled with uncertainty, what is that? What does that make you think of when you think of these people living in the annex? It shows that occupants are very comfortable. How? No. It emphasizes the difficulties and unpredictability they faced. It suggests they had plenty of resources. No. It indicates they were happy in a situation. Absolutely not. It shows that they are stressed out. What does the phrase clung to the belief suggest about Anne's attitude during her time in hiding? Clung to the belief. She easily lets go of her beliefs? No, she doesn't. She's clinging to the belief that people are good, she says. She was indifferent to her situation. Indifferent means you don't care. She held on tightly to her hope despite her circumstances, or she was not interested in believing anything at all. All of these are incorrect. The only one is, the good one is C. We're almost done here. In the passage, what does the word confidants imply about Anne's relationship with her diary? Remember, she refers to her diary as her confidant because she's able to tell the diary her secrets. It was a source of conflict. She has a conflict with the diary. It was a secretive sub-object. It was a trusted companion that she shared her thoughts with. Or it was a simple notebook with no significance. So if something is your confidant, that means you trust it. It's going to be C. What does the phrase overwhelming darkness signify in the context of the passage? I think we did this one already. It's this one. The intense emotion of fears experienced during the Holocaust. Okay. I would like you to get 80% on this video. If you don't, we're going to just keep practicing until you meet that objective. You won't be able to do this video again, so try your best. Because if you, you already know the answer, so it's kind of like not useful. It's just a waste of, it'll be wasteful in this sense because you need to practice with different questions and different readings. Again, you're gonna take an assessment. For those of you that are using it for a retake, I will update your score. But I will also, this will also be your first grade for T2. Because this is something that we're still working on.